Alright gang, how we doing? Welcome back to the channel. Now Pokemon news has been a little bit slow over the last couple of weeks, which is to be expected directly after a Pokemon Presents. We're kind of just sitting with all the information that we got. There have been a few little things, don't get me wrong, like we did just get some new screenshots of ZA that weren't video worthy in and of themselves, but they are worth showing here. You see some puppy Pokemon there lined up and some different battle scenes and that kind of thing. We've also had confirmation that a playable demo is going to be at the World's Championship next week, which is in California. So that'll be really interesting. I'm sure we'll get some new details about ZA off the back of that. There was also some drama around fan art accidentally being copied by the Pokemon company, which is why we've got these special art versions of Ho-Oh and Lugia cards that are showing up like this right now on TCG Pocket. But whilst news is a little bit slower in the community, I wanted to take this opportunity to speak about something that I actually kind of regretted not speaking about when the news was fresh, and I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to start a discussion about it, see what you guys think, give my thoughts as well, and that is Beast of Reincarnation and what this could mean for the future of Pokemon, particularly visually. So in case you missed it, this is a PS5 exclusive game that is made by Game Freak. Now Game Freak is famously probably smaller than it should be, right? There's probably no more than 300 employees at Game Freak, and even those 300 staff get separated and like segmented to work on separate projects. Now the mastermind behind Beast of Reincarnation, which as you can see is a beautiful looking game, a little bit more adult than Pokemon would ever be in the main series at least, but the mastermind behind Beast of Reincarnation, the guy who's directing this game, is a guy called Kota Furushima. Now this guy is somebody who's worked on past Pokemon titles. He worked on the Gen 7 games, Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun and Moon, and he also worked on Sword and Shield. I'm pretty sure his contribution on those games was more around like sound and like sound design, but that doesn't necessarily mean that this guy wasn't a talented guy who's clearly, I mean, he's directed this game that looks brilliant, right? So this is really interesting to me because this guy now is essentially like a bridge between Beast of Reincarnation, which is using these kind of modern cutting edge tools, and it looks really well developed. It's for PS5 consoles. It's obviously a really good looking game. It's a AAA looking game. And suddenly you've got this guy who's worked on Pokemon that's directed this new game. And yeah, as I said, I think this guy could be like a bridge between the separate teams, the separate projects within Game Freak, one of which is obviously working on Pokemon Gen 10, and the other is working or has been working on Beast of Reincarnation. Now, Beast of Reincarnation is going to be released in 2026. So you can imagine there was a parallel development cycle with Gen 10 as well. Again, really noteworthy that Gen 10 has had more time in the oven than is usual for a new generation of Pokemon. This is a good sign. Scarlet and Violet needed more time in the oven, and I think this is generally a rule when you're dealing with kind of like modern consoles and these vastly more powerful game engines and game consoles by comparison to when Pokemon was in its handheld days. And you know, the Switch was a decent transition period, but we now need to see the next level. People are feeling it. So this guy kind of confirms that I know Game Freak is separated into these different teams, but this guy represents internal knowledge of how to develop a game properly. And also there is a separation here between art style and art direction and just good developing. This Beast of Reincarnation game looks like it has both. I'm not for a second thinking that we're going to suddenly have these very adult looking, you know, violent almost Pokemon games in the main series. The Pokemon series, especially in the main generations of games, has to appeal to families. It has to appeal to all age groups. It has to appeal as much to a 7-year-old as it does to a legacy fan like me. So I'm absolutely not expecting, at least in the main series, Pokemon to suddenly go in this adult AAA direction. However, I do think that they could still develop better, and I still think that whatever art style they choose to go for could still be done better, and that's the thing that I think this guy could really, really help with. Now, regardless of that extra year in the oven, I still think that there is a certain commercial pressure on Pokemon. They have to release a new generation every 3 to 4 years. It can't be 5 years, it can't be 6 years, because Pokemon need new merch to sell, they need new trading card sets to sell, they need new Pokemon, new characters, and they need just new things constantly. And the balance is being struck hopefully a little bit more with this extra development time, but something like Beast of Reincarnation I think is a real sign that Pokemon Gen 10 could actually look a lot better, and it could surprise us. I still think you need to employ good art directors. Again, this is my opinion, but I think Sword and Shield was far better in terms of art style and art direction than Scarlet and Violet. Scarlet and Violet represents to me this kind of shift towards a more mobile game, more web browser looking art style. It's still got a decent amount of color and it's still got, you know, that Pokemon feel, but it's becoming a little bit more iPad-y, for lack of a better word. Now, I'm not a fan of that. I don't think many people are a fan of that. Now, I could be really naive here because, of course, we have a younger generation of, you know, if you're sort of, let's just say 18, roughly 18, 19, 20, whatever, you grew up with the internet. You grew up with smartphones essentially for most of your life, if not all of your life, right? When did the iPhone come out? It was like 2006. It was like 19 years ago. So yeah, but I think maybe that is more appealing to some young people. I still think though, when you see something that someone like Genius Sonority produced, like the Colosseum games, like Battle Revolution, you're still able to see that they're more stylish. That's at least my opinion. Less flat, more charisma, more personality, and of course, slightly longer animations, which they could be reduced, but there's still more going on, you know? So, you know, we don't have the, unfortunately, insight yet, or the inside knowledge into exactly what this could mean for Game Freak. And you would hope that internally they're sharing the sort of engines, the tools that were used on Beast of Reincarnation to also be used on the development of Pokemon Gen 10 and any future games. You would hope that's the case. Again, that doesn't mean it's going to look like Beast of Reincarnation, but it should look a whole lot better than Gen 9 looked. There's no guarantees, right? The Game Freak, which is already a really small developer in terms of the amount of staff, could still be completely like segmented into these non-communicating kind of different projects. That would surprise me. I feel like if you've got the talent in-house to produce Beast of Reincarnation, why would you not share that with your staff that are working on Gen 10? And I don't know why they don't just employ more people. Back in the day, they would use other companies like Genius Sonority to deal with the visuals, to deal with the art design, to deal with the 3D modeling. Creatures Inc. does that, of course, but you need more ideas. You need more people that have proven, like look at Pokken, by the way. Bandai Namco obviously were a massive influence in that game, and some of the animations in that game are fantastic. So anyway, guys, that is kind of my take. I wanted to talk about this and see what you guys thought about this as well. My take is essentially this, right? I think that this is a good sign because there's a guy who literally worked on multiple Pokemon generations that spearheaded this Beast of Reincarnation project. Surely he's going to feed back some of the development processes, some of the engines, some of the tools that have been used to the Pokemon staff that are working on Gen 10 and just help them produce something that looks amazing, which we'll hopefully see in February 2026. But anyway, guys, let me know all of your thoughts down in the comments. If you do need a VPN in your life right now, guys, it would really help the channel out if you take advantage of the deal that we have got in the description. We have a NordVPN offer. You get at least 70% off if you go for the 1 or 2 year plans, I believe. And you also get a free Amazon gift card. This expires at the end of August, so it's a limited time opportunity. And of course, it keeps you protected from all of the phishing scams, the tracing, all of the horrible things the internet has to offer. NordVPN will keep you safe, and it will also enable you to change your IP address to put you in a different location so you can watch different shows on Netflix and all that kind of stuff. You guys know what VPNs are by now, but yeah, take advantage of that deal. If you need a VPN, it is a great deal. And apart from that, guys, I will see you in the next one. Take care. Love you, gang. Here we go.